The story of Iran begins with the rise of the Achaemenid Empire under Cyrus the Great in the 6th century BCE. Cyrus united diverse tribes and regions, creating an empire that stretched from the Indus Valley to the Mediterranean Sea, a feat unmatched in its time. He is remembered not only as a conqueror, but as a visionary leader who respected local customs and religions, introducing one of the first concepts of human rights through the Cyrus cylinder. Darius the Grey expanded the empire further, building a sophisticated administration with provinces, governors, and roads that improved communication across vast territories. The construction of monumental sites like Persepolis reflected the empire's wealth and grandeur. The Achaemenid rulers also faced military challenges, most famously the Persian Wars with Greece, which tested their strength but highlighted their strategic prowess. Trade, art, and cultural exchange flourished under Achaemenid rule, setting standards in governance, architecture, and diplomacy that influenced civilizations for centuries. The empire ultimately fell to Alexander the Great, but the foundation of Persian identity and imperial tradition was firmly established, shaping the culture and political ideas of the region for generations to come. After the fall of Alexander's successors, the Parthians rose to power, defending Iran against Roman expansion. They were known for their cavalry, guerrilla tactics, and ability to maintain a decentralized but stable rule over a culturally diverse region. Parthian society blended Hellenistic and Persian traditions, preserving art, architecture, and governance methods from the Achaemenid period, while adapting to changing political realities. The Sassanid Empire later emerged in the 3rd century CE as a centralized power, emphasizing Persian identity and pre-Islamic culture. The Sassanids restored Zoroastrianism as the state religion and fostered a renaissance of art, literature, and architecture. Their cities became centers of learning and trade, connecting East and West through the Silk Road. Military conflicts with the Roman and Byzantine empires tested Sassanid strength, but also pushed innovations in strategy and defense. The Sassanids left an enduring cultural legacy, including ceremonial traditions, monumental architecture, and a strong sense of Persian identity. Although the Islamic conquest eventually ended their rule, the Parthians and Sassanids ensured that Persian civilization survived, providing the cultural framework that would influence Iran's future dynasties and the formation of its unique heritage. In the 7th century, Arab forces conquered Persia, introducing Islam to a land with a rich pre-Islamic culture. Rather than erasing Persian identity, the conquest led to a fusion of traditions that shaped a unique Islamic Persian civilization. Persian scholars, poets, and scientists became central to the Islamic Golden Age, producing groundbreaking work in medicine, mathematics, astronomy, and philosophy. Cities like Baghdad and Isfahan became intellectual hubs, attracting scholars from across the Islamic world. Persian literature, including the works of Ferdowsi, Rumi, and Hafez, preserved the language, history, and cultural pride of the region. Local dynasties such as the Seljuks strengthened Persian influence while adopting Islamic governance. Architecture flourished, with beautiful mosques, palaces, and gardens reflecting both Persian aesthetics and Islamic design. This period also saw the rise of trade networks connecting Iran to Central Asia, India, and Europe, fostering economic growth and cultural exchange. The Islamic conquest transformed the political and religious landscape, but Persian identity endured through language, culture, and art, laying the foundation for Iran's later dynasties and its continued influence on regional and global civilization. The Safavid dynasty, emerging in the early 16th century, transformed Iran politically, culturally, and religiously. Shah Ismail I established Shia Islam as the state religion, creating a distinct identity that differentiated Iran from its Sunni neighbors, particularly the Ottomans. The Safavids centralized power and strengthened the army, securing Iran's borders while promoting internal stability. Under rulers like Shah Abbas I, the empire experienced a cultural renaissance. Cities flourished, mosques and palaces displayed exquisite Persian architecture, and artisans produced world-famous carpets, ceramics, and miniature paintings. The Safavid era also promoted trade, linking Iran to Europe, India, and Central Asia, enhancing its economic power. Despite military conflicts with the Ottomans and Uzbeks, the Safavids maintained dominance through diplomacy, strategic alliances, and administrative reforms. Their promotion of Persian culture, Shia, religious identity, and artistic innovation left a lasting mark, influencing Iran's national identity for centuries. The Safavid period demonstrated how religion, culture, and governance could combine to create a powerful, cohesive state, setting a standard for future dynasties and reinforcing Iran's role as a major player in regional politics and culture. The Qajar dynasty, which ruled from the late 18th to the early 20th century, faced significant internal and external challenges. Central authority weakened as tribal leaders gained influence, and foreign powers like Britain and Russia increased their presence in Iran, seeking political and economic control. Despite these pressures, the Qajars attempted reforms, modernizing the army and administration, though often with limited success. Iranian society began encountering European ideas, technology, and trade practices, which both inspired modernization and created tension between tradition and progress. Cities like Tehran and Isfahan saw new infrastructure, schools, and cultural institutions, but widespread poverty and corruption persisted. The constitutional revolution of 1906 reflected growing demands for political reform, the rule of law, and limits on monarchical power. Though the Qajars struggled to fully implement these reforms, their era marked a turning point in Iran's engagement with modernity and global politics. The dynasty's decline eventually set the stage for Reza Shah and the Pahlavi era, which would bring more aggressive modernization and centralization, transforming Iran into a modern nation-state. Reza Shah Pahlavi rose to power in the 1920s, ending Qajar rule and embarking on an ambitious program of modernization. He focused on building infrastructure, industry, and a strong centralized state, aiming to reduce foreign influence and modernize society. Roads, railways, schools, and factories reshaped the country, while Western-style legal codes and educational reforms sought to transform Iranian society. Reza Shah also promoted secularism and nationalism, attempting to reduce the power of religious institutions. His son, Mohammad Reza Shah, continued modernization efforts, including the White Revolution, which introduced land reforms, women's suffrage, and industrial expansion. Despite these advancements, authoritarian rule, political repression, and inequality fueled dissatisfaction. The disconnect between rapid modernization and traditional social structures created tensions across the country, ultimately contributing to widespread unrest. The Pahlavi era, while transformative, highlighted the challenges of balancing progress with cultural identity, a struggle that would culminate in the revolutionary changes of 1979.